Good evening, everyone. My name is Randy East, and I have known James Paxton for 16 years, since he married my cousin Dawn. I am almost certain that Jim knew how lucky he was that he had a chance to find true love and a new family. With that said, I am pretty certain he had no idea how important it would be for him to join our family to leave a long-lasting impact for us to take on forever. For the past 16 years, I have known him to be fiercely dedicated family man. I knew him to be a calm, steady, and supportive father, husband, son-in-law, brother-in-law, cousin, uncle, brother, and friend. Ironically, Paxton and I got to know each other best surrounding illness or death of one of our family members. I learned more about Paxton's military service in Southeast Asia, about his days afterwards of freer thinking, and many philosophical conversations that illuminated a few layers of this amazing past and present life. It amazes and humbles me to hear the wonderful stories that you shared at the Dove House and that you shared with us on the tribute page. While helping to put this tribute together, I was given the opportunity to hear even more stories of how Jim affected and changed people, and how the lives of so many people were not only touched, but shaped and molded into the amazing people that you are today. It wasn't until the last week of February that I understood the extent of Paxton's far-reaching impact on so many people's lives. I continue to wonder how he had the strength, passion, and energy to be so many things to so many different people. Dawn shared that it was one of Paxton's dreams to have his Westminster and Delaney students united someday. In the midst of his short illness and passing was an epic merging not only of the two schools that he loved, but also a deeper merging of his musical family and his family at home. Jim experienced this while he was listening to family and friends read the postings that you put on the tribute page. When the laughter and the storytelling from the time past surrounded him, he knew he had experienced the beginning of new ties and rekindled friendships. I believe he was a bit surprised and humbled more than anything when he saw a group of Westminster High band alums outside his window in the middle of the night at Dove House, not only playing a tribute to him, but under the conduction of a Delaney grad drum major. I can only imagine how fulfilled he was and is to know that all of his family has come together to remember and celebrate his life like this. I was given the opportunity to get to know Paxton's sister, Cindy, and his brother-in-law, Tom, and many of the nieces and nephews that were with him in the last days. Cindy shared stories of a young Paxton playing baseball, playing band gigs at a local restaurant, and how his piano teacher had to quit because Paxton had actually surpassed her own talent. My life is better and it is richer because Paxton was part of it. From laughing ourselves silly watching Stevie and McKenna applying chapstick to a chicken and dancing with it, to crying on his and Dawn's shoulders when they rescued me and my sister after the death of our father. I owe him a debt of gratitude for his support, acceptance, and compassion, which I can only hope to repay to him by being as supportive and loving as possible to his girls. The one thing that I know Paxton loved more than music was the love that he had for his wife and his daughter. Paxton embraced McKenna at 3 years old and never let her go. To see a sparkle in his eye, all you would need to do is mention her name and he was beaming from ear to ear. What a lucky guy to have two such amazing women in his life. But Dawn and McKenna would argue that they were the lucky ones. William Shakespeare once wrote, "Tears water our growth." Dawn and McKenna, this journey is unique to each person who has the burden to travel, and no one, absolutely no one, knows what you're going through right now. I believe our loved ones still sustain us with their love and presence even after their departure from this world. I have no doubt that he was not only watching over you and loving you, but When Jim passed, I immediately wondered how his homecoming was going to go when he met his neighbor. And I envisioned that even God was standing humbly at attention with pride in his eyes. On behalf of Dawn, McKenna, and the entire family, we want to thank everyone who is here tonight showing your amazing support. Paxton's legacy lives on through you. Embrace life, opportunity, and love to the fullest, just as Paxton did. He would expect nothing but the best from you. It is my great honor to introduce this evening's conductors, Mr. Brian Fraser and Mr. Brian Balmages, and our very talented Westminster Philharmonic Tribute Band. Thank you.
That was it. How many practices, Brian?
About 3 minutes, an hour and a half.
How about another round? So no Craig, this is not Paxton up here. trombones used to use that in their slides in the wintertime to keep their slides from not freezing. Little secret to the back here saying something. I can't repeat. What a testament to a guy that's just an incredible guy. To see all of you out here and tribute to this incredible guy that we just like one of our best buddies. It's just incredible to see. Thank you, Dawn, for asking me to say a few words tonight. It's an honor to be asked by Dawn and the family to attend and also to be a speaker. I really appreciate it. As being the oldest drum major under Jim's command, and I know who I am. I guess that's why they wanted me to go first, as they're afraid I'd have to take a nap during the concert. And would never make it to the end. So, I really don't have a lot to say. It's just that my wife made me not wear my glasses today, and I had to make a big print. So, it's only 46 pages instead of 10. Laura Fletcher Lord and Brian Fraser and Brian, help me out. You made me come through. And that was without practice. And Randy, thank you so much for all that you put together for this. Delaney High just came through like crazy on this issue. And they are the ones that put this together. Not the old dudes in Westminster, but the Delaney High people are the ones that put this together. And I think they deserve a big round of applause. Okay, who in the world am I? Well, my name is Glenn Richland. You might have seen it in the... Okay, there's my $10 to someone. Honored to be here, of course, tonight to be a wonderful... Jim made a wonderful life change for me. I became drum major for Jim in 1978. The fall, I heard too many snickers. 78 to 79, and then of course 79 to 80, I was the drum major for Jim. And that's not what I look like, by the way, over there. I was honored to be Jim's drum major. He was the person that started me in my career, changed my life forever, and these students and also the people out here in the audience can also testify. Those of you that know, I ended up being a state trooper and retired as a state trooper. And I think I finally figured it out. Some band members said, well, after high school, you had to figure out who in the world you were going to yell at the rest of your life. So you had to get to be a state trooper, and I think that's what it was. So that's what I did. And I really began in 1978 under the direction of a little less than 200 band members yelling and screaming and trying to get everybody in order. So that was the reason. Now the stories. Now I said stories plural, and there's probably people shuddering out there, but I was told to just tell one story. So I had to pick. It took me forever to pick one story, so I cheated a little bit and threw in a couple side stories. So it's really one big story, but there are side stories, okay? Jim had a big influence in what I did. I can't see a single thing no matter what, how big this thing is. They're not giving up back here. And I also was told by my wife to keep it G-rated because it's good, of course. And Jim was the influence he had. I have to read this now. I was asked to just find one of the best stories that best describes Jim and the influence he had on the band. Not under the influence, but the influence. That's great. I was told by many people during this break that we've had, trying to remember Jim, of all kinds of stories. I had to just pick one. It was very difficult back in my band days. So it starts like this. I remember one cold day here at Westminster High School, probably 1978, December, maybe the early January 79. I got in the band and met with Jim to find out what the directions were for that day. It was freezing out. So Jim came up to me and said, hey Glenn, take the band out on your own and just work on grade today. We're just going to march around. Anybody that's not Westminster, take a drive around the loop, and that was our loop. That's what we did. We marched around kind of nice. I didn't say safe because you're going to hear something in a minute. But it was nice. So we started out front, right out here, assembled out front, and we went around clockwise. Robert, that's the user clock. And we started off, and we had a good time trying to warm up and everything. And we got all the way around the back of the school, over near the Boat Tech Center, Boat Tech building. And now you people that have been here with that event know exactly where I'm going to go with this thing, I bet. We were so disciplined back then that we had chants. We would disrupt the school that was going on. People would come to the windows and clap and cheer and put up our band, pride, and all kinds of crazy stuff. They really loved us when we went crazy around here. Well, the discipline got a little out of hand sometimes, but here's what happened. We were so disciplined, Jim taught us never to move for anybody. Nobody, unless he said to move. And the only time we would move would be for a camera crew or from a news crew or something like that, because they're expensive cameras. The school would have to buy one and knock them over. And we had a front line that was just as good as the front line on the out football team. They were incredible and crazy. So we're out there marching, and we come around the back and coming up to the Boat Tech Center, and I look up, and there's a band coming the other way. And if you've been in the back, it's probably about, I think it's only about 20 feet wide. Well, the band stops as it sees roughly 175 band musicians coming up, blowing the living daylights out of their horns so they can stay warm. And he stops. There's nowhere to go. So I went up to, there's 7 rows of people, and I went up to this side of the band, which is 3 knucklehead trombone players. That's how trombone players are.
Trombones are always knuckleheads.
The ones that didn't know it played trombone. They also play drums, right, Mike? That's right. Anyway, I went up to them and said, "We're not moving. He's going to have to move. He's on our turn." Their eyes got this big. So up they come, all 3 rows of the band of the 7 march right up to the front bumper of this band. The rest of the band continues. 4 lines come this way. About when the drum line comes past the driver's door of the band, the driver decides to throw it into reverse very quickly, not seeing the car that is directly behind him. Anybody remember that? One of the knucklehead trombones. Set them up. As the accident occurred, I got a little nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to explain this? And sent the 3 lines around the other side. The driver tried to get out, could not get out of his car. The van now encompasses the entire. I said nothing about the lady that just had the van vault onto her foot. Completely. I'm not making it up. So we march back, nothing said. Get back into the band room. And of course, Paxton comes up to me and he says, "Anything happened today? Everything all right?" I said, of course the notes are all out of order now. I must have been turning them as I'm talking. I said, "No, just normal. The band listened very well today. They listened to all the commands, and they followed directions very well." So Jim said, "Great, all right, off to class I went." Well, a little bit later that day, I got a messenger come to literature class. "You're needed at the principal's office." Let me tell you a little bit about discipline with the Western High School band. David Miller brought this up last week. He said, "Glenn, discipline. This is one story, not the only story, but one of the best stories I remember about you and your discipline. We were down in Baltimore." This is a side story. Side story here comes one of those. I just snuck in. He said, "We were down in Baltimore City one time at a parade, and for some reason the float broke down, or they were cleaning up poop from a horse or something. And the entire, parade stopped. So we're marking time, it's a long parade. Paxton comes up to me and says, hey, listen, stop. This is going way too long. Let's let them get a break and go to it at ease, or a parade rest. So they all go to parade rest. I'm at parade rest, and this cop comes up to me. Didn't know I was going to be a trooper at that time. Well, the cop comes up to me, and he stands and he comes up to this, I think it was this side. David probably remembers it more than I do, better than I do. He says, sorry, sir, can you move? We're going to let the traffic go while you're waiting for the band, the parade to continue. No response. Sorry, sir. Can you move? You're the only one in the way. You're trying to... No response. So the cop goes up to Paxton and goes, get your drum major to move out of the way. We're getting ready to put traffic through here. So Jim, with this smirky smile, we all know, comes up and goes, cop wants you to move. I swear it's not fun. So, from parade rest, you have to go to attention. I went to attention as Jim's standing in front of me, and I screamed, yes, sir! And I move up to the van front, and traffic goes through. And we move on. That's a side note. That was David's little story of what happened. So, on my way to the principal's office, we're back here. Those that remember Paul Harvest, maybe page 3 or 4, somewhere in there. To the principal's office I go. I walk into Peter B. McDowell's office, and some of us remember. Mr. McDowell here. Good. This is going to work out great. So now the story will get better. Walk into the principal's office, and Jim's sitting on the couch in Peter B's, I'm calling Peter B. I don't know if you knew that, but I'm calling Peter B. In Peter B's office. And he has this smirky little smile. Walk in. His legs crossed, his hands are in. Just looking at him. So Peter B says to me, he says, Glenn, anything weird happened today at band practice? No. It's cold out. No, nothing really happened. Paxton going, he's just sitting there. And so Peter B says, 5 pages behind me. Peter B says to me, he goes, I was met with 2 very irate people. They had to hire 2 tow trucks to dismantle the cars that you guys smashed into. What do you have to say about that? Well, I said to Peter B, I said, sat there and pondered the answer before I got in trouble. My mom was a guidance counselor in North Carroll High School, so I knew he was going to have a direct line to her. And I said, discipline. Discipline, sir. The Al Band has the best discipline. And if somebody gets in my way, when my band is marching, they're on our turf. Discipline. And he looks at me and goes, and he looks over at Jim and he goes, Jim takes his arms and folds them and goes, I told you that's what he was going to say. So that's not a sign of discipline. What Jim brought to us, I don't know what it is. The drum majors that are here know that he demanded discipline. He demanded discipline in us. He demanded the confidence in us. He got the confidence, respect out of us. He demanded the leadership skills that he taught us. And we all know that. We all know it. Look at these people up here. I couldn't play after all those years. And I know Jim, I met him 34 years ago, so it's just an incredible story to think about this incredible man. In closing, that gives 10 more minutes. I wish it peace. Heard it. Those that know him, we spent a lot of time together, Jim and I did, at the band room and band music and away from music. In fact, when we first seen Jim at the Duff House on Monday night before he passed that week. And knowing that I was a retired trooper, I walked in, and Don was there as well. And I walked in, and I don't know if you remember Don. He saw me and grabbed my hand, and his first comment to me was, "Glenn, are all the statute of limitations over?" You were involved in it. He said, "I think so." So on February 18th, I received some sad calls, some people calling. I mean, these calls came flying out, as we all know. Kelly Thomas, Chavaki, my throwing buddy, Mike Shipley, my sister Karen Grismeyer, married to the doghouse. And quickly, this is an interesting thing that you've heard about probably. I want you to hear the inside part of the doghouse that night. Monday night, wasn't it? Quickly, Robert, Grismeyer, Sandy, and David Miller quickly put together a small band for about 10 people. We were able to practice in a small assembly room that they got permission from the doghouse people to have us practice. They had music. They went to the municipal band and got snare drums. I saw like 400,000 notes that I couldn't play, but these guys just did. And Mike Shipley had to put up with my snare drumming, and he and Steve. We put together this band very quickly, and we played one of the songs. I know the Westminster people here would know. This is Spanish. One of the incredible, very, very emotional kind of songs. One of his favorite songs that we did. We walked over to a little courthouse. I'm thinking back in the day, right? Courtyard. And right outside of Jim's his room on the first floor. He had two doors, French doors. And he opened up the French doors, and we started playing Hispania, directed by Delaney Spines, Laura. Isn't that cool where you pull Delaney and Westminster together? And our drum major was Laura Fletcher. Unbelievable. The sound that came out that night was just, what? Heaven, right? Just incredible. It felt like you were on the field, you were playing for the first time or second time, just back in the day. What a tribute to a person that inspired all of us. What a tribute to have his wit with him, his humor with him, and to understand, clapping along, putting the thumbs up from his bedside. Unbelievable time. Hands together, just absolutely having a great time. And Karen had us come into his room and pack the room. Many of these band members. We went in the room, we all held hands. And Jim was just delighted, smiling, making fun of Robert because he can't march. No lie, right, Don? Just unbelievable wit. Just absolutely incredible. We sat there very briefly and talked. We held hands, and then I'm going backwards here. And then we had a prayer. And Sandy Miller, Sandy here? Is she up here? Oh, Sandy, thank you. Led us all in prayer. And it was a prayer of thanks. It was a prayer of, geez, Jim, you are the best. That's what that prayer was all about. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. From the bottom of our heart. He smiled the whole entire time. It was incredible. It was an incredible feeling that we were able to do. And we all said goodbye to Jim as he lay there smiling, shaking hands. I worked my way over to Dawn. And I went up to Dawn and I said, Dawn, can I have 1 second? And she hugged me. And she said, of course. I went up to Jim's bedside and he grabbed my hand. His grip was phenomenal. Unbelievable grip, very strong. His eyes looked up at me with pride. That's why I brought the water, so I can get through this. I bent down and I whispered, Jim, I want to ask you one favor. He said, sure, anything for you, buddy. And then asked him the following. When I get up to heaven, saved me a spot as one of your drum majors. He replied with a big smile and said, "Of course I will, brother. Of course I will." Then he squeezed my hand even harder. Unbelievable. And he said this to me 2 times. I'll try to get through it. Quote, "We will all play together again someday, buddy. We will all play together someday." With that, I kissed the forehead of one of my heroes. And I told him, I said, "We all know." He smiled back, like Jim can do. Strong, big smile, big eyes, and said, "I know, buddy, I know." As I started to leave, he wouldn't let go of my hand. He just wouldn't let go. Remember that, Dawn? Almost had to pry his fingers off so he could give the family some more time. His grip was as tight as ever. He had a hard time letting go of my hand, just like we all had a hard time letting go of one of our buddies. One of our buddies in life, and now my best buddy forever. I would like to conclude this 5-minute speech, by the way. Never did listen really well. My dad's here too. It's terrible. His sermons are just as long, trust me. I'd like to leave with this, with a following quote from our 41st president, George Herbert Walker Bush. This quote reminded me of Jim, as he always puts others first. Correct? He always did. He was more excited about making sure you would hold the trophy instead of him, right? He was always about the team. No letter I in the word team. He was always about that. So I'll leave you with what President Bush said. I think it's appropriate. When things go well, give credit to those around you. That's Jim. We all love you, Jim. Until we play.